Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be jumping in and looking at the Stream Deck Plus from Elgato. Now, I'm by no means a streamer, but this little device is going to completely change the way that I work and my workflow, and bringing new efficiencies into the tasks that I do on a daily basis. And so I'm going to give you a little bit more information about the Stream Deck Plus and why you might want this even though you're not a streamer. So I'm going to unbox it and let's get into a bit more information while I do so. First and foremost, the Stream Deck is essentially a panel that allows you to pre-program multitude of actions attached to keys. Now in this digital age, we are so used to interfaces on the computer that sometimes we miss a couple of the traditional just be able to click something. So you can imagine that if you can program almost any action to a button, it can be super handy in basically any workflow. So I must say that they've really gone to the effort to do a neat unboxing experience here for any individual grabbing the panel. Sure, look at that. That's super neat, I must say. Really chuffed that it's in black. And immediately picking it up out of the box, it's got a nice weight to it, but nothing outrageous. Just really neatly done. A little bit of the Elgato sign. And this stand can actually be unscrewed, but the intention is not to do so. There we go. Nothing like a good peel. So what you get in the box is essentially your Stream Deck, and you get one cable, as well as your quick starter guide, which we know 90% of us are not going to read. And there's sort of the Elgato terms. And here we have a nice braided cable. Now, I will mention though that USB-C, USB-A, and behind the deck, you'll see your USB-C. I'm going to absolutely trade this in for a USB-C to USB-C cable. And the reason being is that running off a Mac setup, once again, I don't have other USB-A ports. Now I do have a converter, which I'm planning on using in the meantime, which will allow me to take this USB-A, never clips in the right way the first time, and there I've got a USB-C to USB-C, which is going to go back into the Ultrafine. Alright, so why would you get this device in the first place? Now, in my setup, it's actually going to be positioned very neatly right here. And this being positioned here is going to give me controls that I need from a different workflow perspective. So on this device, I'm going to be able to pre-program each of these keys for a couple of key scenarios for what I do. We spend a lot of time in Zoom meetings, in marketing meetings, in strategy sessions, and even in this day and age, we're still looking for a mute key consistently. And so I can tell you right now, the very first thing I'm going to do is program the top left button for a mute, unmute button. And that alone for me is almost worth it. It's not a cheap device, coming in at around $200, and in South Africa locally, it obviously converts to slightly more than the exchange rate. So it's not a cheap device in that regard, and definitely not worth it if you're only planning on using it for a mute switch. But in our presentations that we're doing, we're really looking to step up the level of quality of the production when we're doing sales sessions, when we're presenting to clients, being on webinars, or presenting in whatever format it may be. And this is going to allow us to step it up to that next level dynamically and have a one-man team basically directing his own broad show, as we like to call it from a sales perspective. So I'm going to be using this in conjunction with OBS to pre-program scenes. So if I've got presentations around our product, I can easily set up scenes where I'm in the bottom left presenting with our product demos. I'll be able to set up scenes where it's fully just on the one camera, or just on, for instance, a PowerPoint deck that we may be using. In addition to that, we do a lot of training. And so when we've got multiple individuals involved in that training, this is going to be a fundamental part of the workflow to be able to switch between OBS scenes that bring in multiple camera feeds potentially, or whatever the case may be. We're actually going to be using this for a client stream that's coming up soon. And in that stream, we're going to be doing a live training session with multiple camera feeds. And this is going to be running that entire process. So we're looking forward to getting the most out of it in what you would call a micro production. That's not where it ends. You see, this little device can be programmed to work, as I said, with multiple functions. And so with the various APIs and developers able to develop kits and plugins to various software, this can be used for things like video editing. So a very nice plugin that I'm going to be using is for DaVinci Resolve, where you're able to then pre-program the buttons, but also dial in certain things like, you know, when you're editing colors or adjusting volumes or whatever the case may be. These dials have a very nice little tactile, you can sort of hear it, and even the click feel to them. And again, that's going to be so key for us, you know, from a day-to-day basis, whether you're doing volume across the board on your DaVinci Resolve, as I've mentioned, or even in things like Discord, your Teams, whatever the case may be. Another nice thing is that you get the proprietary audio mixing software from Elgato that you can then use with any mic. Traditionally, it's been only available if you're using an Elgato mic. But for instance, myself, I will definitely not be using an Elgato mic. And it's fantastic that using that audio mixing software, we can integrate the Stream Deck with something like a mixing software where you can then bring in whatever audio feeds you need. So possibly your microphone, and maybe if you're playing a promotional video, and you can balance that and actually output it as a virtual mic. So just the same that you'll output a virtual camera from OBS, you'll be able to output a virtual mic and use that in your Teams, your Zoom, or whatever conference tool that you're using. So I'm really excited to be able to adjust those audios on the fly if need be, as mentioned, mute, and so on. Lastly, I'm going to be attaching this to things like my lighting. If you are using Elgato lighting, which we will be doing in future, using their key lights, you can actually adjust the brightness, turn them on and off, and everything right from the Stream Deck. And again, this is just a handy process. When you walk in, you simply hit the button, lights on, ready for action. And that's really what this device is about. It's really about efficiency, making your workflow as dynamic as possible. And that's what I'm going to be using it for, making sure that I can run really high quality feeds and sales sessions that, you know, basic things like muting and unmuting your mic, no longer going through all the tabs that you've got open, looking for that quick mute because there's a background noise or something of that kind. So I'm really looking forward to playing with it a bit more. If you need more details on it, I suggest there's lots of videos really unpacking the ways that you can customize multiple buttons, use the touch screen, customize the touch screen. There is only 8 buttons, but you can swipe through this touch screen for multiple screens. You can even do multiple widgets by using your basically your controllers, and there you can build stacks. And so it really is a device that's built around customizing and suiting it to your workflow. And so I can highly recommend that give it a look if you are someone that's looking for a tool to improve your workflow, make things more accessible, have buttons on the ready. This is probably the device for you. Thank you for watching, and as always, thank you to our sponsor Flex for sponsoring this video. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And so, yep, once again, have a look at them. They are really on the up and releasing some amazing features lately on the Flex LMS and learning system. So thank you to all. Please like and subscribe.